Let's open the meeting at 6:30. We're going to start with the invocation and pledge like I usually do, and then we'll get over here. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing everyone here safely today. We're gathered for a wonderful and meaningful purpose, and we commit this ceremony to your care. Come and preside over this occasion and let your presence guide everything that takes place. Protect everyone present and keep us safe from harm. Let this meeting proceed smoothly and help us fulfill the purpose for which we've gathered. Keep bad weather away from us and remove every inconvenience. We also ask that you cleanse and bless our first responders and military at home and abroad. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everybody. Ordinarily, we'd have public comments. I think we're all up here to learn and listen unless somebody has something. Okay, great. Greg, you're up.
All right.
Shall we do some introduction?
Yes,
Everybody
please.
know you already?
If I'd like to do that, that'd be great.
Great. Okay, I'm Lori.
Right.
You know it's me. I'll be here for a little less than a week.
Okay.
I'll be swearing in Eric Duhan next week as the new mayor.
Okay.
So I'm kind of passing the torch on all the things that
All right.
happen.
Okay.
Erica?
I'm Erica Molina. I am on the committee as a volunteer. I've lived in the city for 35 years and I've been on emergency management for 10 of those years. So here I am.
I'm Angela King. I am a council member here in Simonton.
Justin Boudreau, been on emergency management for 10 years. I've been volunteering before that and stuff, so.
Yeah, Stacy Goetting, same, I've been on emergency manager for 10 years, a previous council person, and yeah, that's about it. We lived here for, how long have we lived here?
20, going on 22.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm Greg Oshie, her husband.
Gotcha.
I'm a volunteer as well. So we've been on the committee for the same amount of time, about 10 years.
Okay.
So I haven't looked at Stacy. Stacy and Justin and Erica are trained in the STAR system. And probably a whole lot more complicated than the WebEOC. So they've managed that for us when we were in deployment
Okay.
and after.
And
Okay.
we all three have had all the FEMA required
Okay.
training, and I've taken the finance.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've all had, yeah.
I think you were there when I was taking.
Yeah.
But there's a big room
Yep,
downtown. It's full of
yep.
stuff. Neil and haystack, so.
Okay.
So I know it's not specifically what you're talking about, but I just thought you.
No, that's good to
We're
know.
small, but we got a
Absolutely.
team that's
Yeah.
invested.
No, that's
We're
awesome.
small but mighty.
There you
And
go.
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne.
I was about to say, we miss Cheyenne.
Hi.
I'm city secretary.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you guys for having me. I've been making my rounds throughout the county. Again, Greg Bass, Emergency Management Coordinator, Fort Bend County, and then again run the Emergency Operations Center underneath the county judge, under his direction or her direction, whenever they want to activate or I feel that there is an activation need for the county. I started at the county in 2021 and started out as a training and exercise person, and just over time and circumstance, because some people decided to either retire or leave the county, they moved me up to the Emergency Management Coordinator. Before that, 24 years, United States Coast Guard, retired, and my main role was, I was anti-cartel, anti-terror federal law enforcement officer, but my side job in the Coast Guard was incident management team. So whenever we decided by the Coast Guard's nature to deploy for any type of maritime nexus that had national concern, that we would go in and help stabilize an incident, we would respond. My first response was actually Katrina. I was a division group supervisor for the small boats in the Metairie area during that time frame, pulling people out, get down there during that. And then over my 24 years, worked my way all the way up to a Type 1 incident commander. And my last position in the Coast Guard as an incident commander was actually Maria. That was right after Harvey devastated Puerto Rico. And I was the incident commander there, and I controlled all the safety and security of the airports as they were bringing all the equipment and supplies in from FEMA, Salvation Army, and all the nonprofits that were helping out Puerto Rico during that time, because there's a ton of militias in Puerto Rico and they were trying to get it before everybody else. So that's a little bit of my background, where I get my emergency management background. And I can tell you, I've done type 1, type 2 incidents. I was heavily involved during Sandy, ran huge mega shelters in New Jersey during that time frame, from all the evacuation stuff in there, major floods on the Mississippi, Haiti earthquake in 2008. So you name it, I've probably seen it, done it, and managed it. The only difference I would say at being a local county level is I don't get to come in and just say, you guys don't know what you're doing and here's how to fix it and leave. Now it's, I got to make sure we know how to do it, and the feds don't come in and say, you don't know how you're doing it, and leave. So it's just kind of the opposite, I would say. From my perspective though, especially with the new Emergency Operations Center, we've probably taken leaps and bounds in the last 2 to 3 years since that's opened, June 3rd, 2022. And I always told this story. When I first got here, I felt like this county was about 14 years behind. And in that time frame, I would say we've jumped up past 14 years, and we probably got into moving forward. And actually the state's come down and looked at how we're running things and trying to mirror their new operations center off of how we're doing things in Fort Bend County. So, and it's all because of a great team that I have. I have 15 people on my team that run and do everything. And then when I hit the activation button, we've now got 2,143 people in the county that activate underneath that declaration. And out of those 2,000 people aren't just field level operators or first responders, but 400 of those activate to the EOC and run all the different types of positions that we have inside the EOC. So with that, strategy moving forward. I'm in the process right now of developing our 5-year plan of the county and how we're going to grow in Emergency Operations Center as the county continues to grow, and trying to meet or exceed the expectation of all the development that's going on around here. So we're working closely with economic development, community development, all of our cities, major cities that are having a lot of population growth, our engineering department, drainage department, and road and bridge. And again, trying to find out ways that we can better manage emergency management in the county if we go into an all-hazard event. So that strategy will be coming out. We are working with a contractor, and it should be out probably in the next 6 months. And I will pass that out to all the jurisdictions when they actually publicize that for us. I'll tell you right now, one of the big emphasis, and we'll kind of talk about it down the road here in this agenda here, but it's meeting the county again. As you guys activate, how do we support the activations of my jurisdictions? How do we communicate? How do we get out in front of things? I'm very proactive, not reactive. You'll see declarations a lot earlier than you saw in years past, than from the county waiting for the disaster to happen. It's going to be getting declarations out ahead of time for prepping and staging and getting equipment into areas. And then hopefully the recumbent of that funding, as you guys know if you've taken the finance class, because if FEMA comes in with that federal declaration money, they don't start recouping until they see a declaration. Right. So if you did all the staging and all that stuff beforehand, and then a disaster declaration wasn't until after the disaster and in the middle of the response, then you're going to start the reimbursement until that day the declaration was set. And then the reminder of every 7 days that declaration has to be done, because if you miss one, they're like, done. So I'll show you some triggers and stuff that we've got on our dashboards on how we do things, but we're a very proactive strategy moving forward. The county-wide all-hazard communication strategy. Right now, if we activate, what channel are you guys on your radios? That's what I thought. Do you guys have portable radios?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
2, right?
Yes.
Motorola?
Yeah.
Yeah, Motorola radios, just like Weston Lakes kind of? Okay. So, here was my concern. When I got here, I asked what the all-hazards communications plan was for the county. And they told me, great, we follow the state's interoperability channel and how we follow through that. And it's ran through DPS and Texas Division of Emergency Management. I said, great. I said, what zones were those? Half the people couldn't even tell me what zones was what we're on in the radio. And then after talking to some people, I figured it out, the communications shop over at the sheriff's office. It's channel 76 and 77 on a radio Motorola. Those are your interoperable channels and mutual aid channels, and that's usually what we turn to because everyone has those frequencies in those radios across the state. It's mandated. Now, some of those don't talk to, if you're super nerd into radios, there's UHF and VHF. UHF's a lot of air stuff, VHF is a lot of land and water stuff. And if you don't have UHF and VHF, the air and the land and water can't talk to each other. So the state actually came out with a requirement now, if you would go out after any grant money to buy radios, you have to buy radios that have UHF capability and VHF capability. The problem in that is usually you can buy a radio, Motorola radio, with just the VHF capability that everyone kind of operates on, and it's about $2,000, $3,000. You add UHF, and it's about $8,000 to $10,000 for a radio. So now, because of that mandate to the state, if people are going after grant money, when you used to be able to go after about 10 radios, now you're going after about 4, right? Usually with the funding that they give us for all that kind of stuff. So there is some kickback in that, but the state's trying to get to an idea, because they learned hard in Kerrville, that once everybody started to respond out there, no matter what, even if they had a radio, they couldn't talk to each other. The other problem is, in this county, because we relied on mutual aid and interoperability channels. If we go into an all-hazard radio or hazard incident like that, you can bet that everyone's going to need a channel, right? And on those frequencies and in those zones, there's only 16 channels per zone. There ain't enough channels to go around if 12 or 13 counties are dispersed at that time to have a law enforcement channel, a fire channel, an EMS channel, a command channel, right? So you can see really quick that that wouldn't work. So it's been my initiative the last 2 years, and I finally got the sheriff on board. We've got a communications committee in the county now. It's ran with a couple ESDs, the sheriff's office, a couple constables, our office, fire marshal's office, and a couple of the PDs, Richmond PD and Rosenberg PD. I tried to get a variance in there so that there was kind of more, more value in that, and it wasn't one specific group or entity pushing the initiative. And it came true, it held to what I wanted it to do. So what they've come up with is a communications plan, good for the county for all hazards. What they're doing is standardizing the radio package, so if anybody comes into the sheriff's office and wants to program a radio now, that agency or that discipline or that jurisdiction gets the first 3 zones, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. And they can do whatever they want. They can put whatever frequencies they need to talk to each other on a day-to-day basis. Now, after Charlie, there's a specific one for the sheriff's office, and then Echo and Foxtrot, E and F, are for all hazards, for the county specifically. So E will be for events, F will be for incidents, and they'll all be labeled command, law enforcement, fire, EMS, logistics, and we'll all be able to talk to each other going into that type of situation when we switch to all hazards. And I won't have to ask for Harris County or DPS to give us channels and they say, you get 2. Because I can tell you right now, we're all begging and crying right now for FIFA. I've been on 27 calls, Teams calls, for the last 3 months for them trying to figure out how we're going to do this just for FIFA. And we've been planning this for a year. So this is us to be able to, I guess, branch away from the state and be able to rely that we'll have full county communications plan here inside the county. And we've got patching capabilities, so if anybody comes in out of state, DPS, nonprofits, whatever, and we want to give them radios, we can give them radios, or we can patch their radios into our channels and our frequencies, and everyone's still talking. So we are looking at a contract, because what we're going to have to do is now we'll have to recall these radios and they'll have to program them all. It will take about anywhere between 6 months to a year to get that done. We're looking here in the next couple months. Harris County is going to give us that quote, and they're going to start the process for that. And then once that happens, we'll let everybody know. You'll get times to come, or we'll come out to you and program radios, and then we'll be set after that. Then the good thing about that is, like right now, I asked the sheriff's office, I said, hey, you got all these disciplines you manage. They actually manage 4,217 radios in the county. 2 people. Okay. This committee's also come up with some ways for other jurisdictions to have some key operating systems and them to manage things and do things correctly. That's a little further scale than you guys need to know. But we were having problems with servicing radios too because there's only 2 people in the entire county doing this stuff. So now they've got some kiosks out there, they've got some over-the-air updates for the radios as they need to, and then for this update too, there's more people to service the radios. Along with the contractor, we should be able to do this in the next 6 months to a year. The next thing, again, with that is like right now, I asked the one guy that's over the sheriff's office, I said, hey, give me every radio profile that you've ever profiled for, like, I don't know, Simonton, Fulshire, PD in Sugarland. What are their profiles? Well, I don't know, Greg. I just program the radios and I let them go. Oh, okay. That's awesome. So, after this, we're documenting all of this too, and I'll be able to embed this into some of the programming I'll show you into here. So if we go into an incident too, if we need to patch radios, I've got all those frequencies and I can do things on the fly a lot faster and the way we were supposed to be probably doing things way back when. So you guys can have some comfort. We're moving forward, progressive, going to have a communications plan, communication strategy for Fort Bend and not relying on the state or a higher mechanism of DPS to help and support us when we know that it wouldn't be there in the lieu of. So, any questions on communications?
That's awesome.
All right, also, we're also integrating FirstNet and what a system is called Wave. Wave is another system through Motorola. Those services can take this and turn it into a radio. So we're working with them to also put these on at least our county phones, and again, they, like FirstNet and everything, have banks of phones like this with that app on there, and when we activate, this turns this into a radio, and I can upload the profile because we'll have those, and then I can hand that stuff out. I'm not handing out a $10,000 radio to somebody that probably wouldn't know or I couldn't very trust because of whatnot, but I can hand them a cell phone that's cost, a couple $100, and if they lose it, they lose it. It's on contract with FirstNet anyway. AT&T makes $1 billion. So we are doing that with Motorola and FirstNet too. So we will have the capability to turn phones into radios, and then also have a bank of that to be able to service and hand out to partners and stuff. Mainly like our road and bridge guys, our drainage guys that don't want to carry a big radio around. They'd rather have a phone. They'd like to be able to talk but still have their radios. And then if they've got county phones, we just upload that onto their phone.
Do you need our city phone information, our city cell phone information then that's on FirstNet?
Yeah,
Do you need that
yeah,
on our
I'll
phone?
definitely get all that. And
Okay.
then when we're doing this, I can make that happen too, or we can add that to the
We
contract.
have how many, Cheyenne, how many lines do we have on FirstNet?
Just 2
Oh,
actual
that's easy, yeah.
phones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the
Just
phone.
yours and the mayor's, right?
Mhm. As far as I know, yeah.
Okay, we'll get that, and then I can download the app, we can give some training, and then you guys can have access to that.
Awesome.
All right. My next thing is, I'm talking to my jurisdictions. If you guys have any internal response plans, standard operating procedures, how you guys activate your command center or any of your volunteer organizations, I'm asking you after this meeting, I'm going to send out an email to you all, kind of an overview of what we went over, and then ask for something. So if you have these, I'm asking for them. And then what I'm doing is with all of this stuff, I'm building what we call a jurisdictional profile. So it's a GIS mapping system. It is integrated with our VOC platform, which we put all of our training and operational stuff in. And then it's integrated with some API beautiful functions. But basically what will happen is this map on the county here, and then your jurisdiction will be up and over here. And when I click on that jurisdiction, your profile will come up. And it gives all your census data and all the breakdowns and everything, the stuff that we need to worry about on a consistent basis. It'll have, if we have MOUs together through the city and the county, the status of those, when they're supposed to be expired, when we need to update them, and keeping a track of those. Mitigation plan, your guys' everything that you submitted with your security committee, when we did the mitigation plan, all that will be there. And then your sign off on the mitigation plan and when that mitigation plan was last updated, and so you can keep track of that if you wanted to. And then plan acknowledgement too for the emergency operations plan, because you guys sign off on the emergency operations plan. So what is the status of the basic plan, when we last updated an annex, and where all that is and the status of all that. So again, you guys can keep track of that. We manage it. It's your guys' profile. Again, how this helps too is after this, I'm going to send out a survey. We'll talk through some stuff through that survey. I speak about gaps. If you guys see gaps, right away, I know this is a problem, right? Like, if we know that there's water coming and there's going to be a flood, I usually get a call from the mayor, and she says, "Where's Road and Bridge?" and get Darren here now, all right? And I call Darren, and I say, "Darren, do your thing and make things beautiful up in Simonton." And he does his thing.
He does.
Right? So, it's stuff like that we know is going to be an issue, and there's a gap, and you're going to need resources for that type of situation. And I document it ahead of time, and I have it there, so that way if we're going into that incident, I pull up the profile, and we have that discussion. It involves conversation. It's not no longer me guessing, you guessing what I want to hear, you guessing what you want to hear, and then everyone usually says, "No unmet needs," until I need a need. And then it's too late for the need, because the state's pushed everything out everywhere else, right? So when I send out the survey, we'll talk through some of that. What are some of the gaps that you have, some of the resources that you would need, and then I can look right away. Do I have them in the county? Can we support at the county level? If not, do I have mutual aid? Do I have those MOUs in place with contractors that I could engage, set those contractors right up and get those out there? Or am I going to the state and I'm submitting stars for you? Or are you going to submit the stars and I just approve the stars? One way or the other, that would work. Also, shelters and centers. How does that shelters and centers work? Here's what I talk to my jurisdictions. I always say, "Hey, we're going to an incident, we probably have a shelter, we're going to need some centers. You got to stand one up?" "Nope." "Okay." And it's usually no, because you can't support it. You think that you can't do it because you don't have the capability to do it. But what I want to do is talk out, do you have a facility that you own, or do you have a MOU with a church organization that is able to help or support it, that you guys have access to, that we can activate, and you tell me, "Yep, Greg, got a facility, but I need a generator, I need shower shelters or shower stations, I need people, and I need the Red Cross to run it." "Okay." And I send all that to you. And we push it out here, and now you have a shelter for your area, and all you had to do was provide the building or the facility for it. And then, again, we manage it on that end. And I say we, from a whole, with my volunteer organizations and everything, we come together to do that. So no more, there's no longer, well, I have to say no because I can't do a great job. We don't have enough people here. I understand that. So how can I help you? So if you do need it, what's the area that we could set one up? And then we document that. Yep, they have these possible facilities. I would have to ask. You would say yes or no. And then I already have stuff set in place. Hey, that's an 80-person capacity shelter. It was Red Cross certified, and I'm sending Red Cross there. Yep, great, need a generator. I'm sending a generator, an electrician, and we're plugging it in just in case you guys lose power. And I've got a data trailer. I'll roll a data trailer out there, and it'll continue with Wi-Fi because we're going to connect to SAT during the time frame too. So that's that stuff we'll talk about on that survey, and then again, building that operational picture. And then if you have any critical infrastructures, I grab that off our profile, Haystacks. It's a system that we follow that has all critical infrastructures as it's being built through engineering and economic development of the county. It already documents that, and that pulls it in and will tell me right away. There's wastewater plants, levees, plants that need to be managed. Is there an energy corridor here that we have to worry about, or a transportation route that we have to? It'll start documenting that, and that's the stuff, again, lifeline stuff that we would have to worry about. And do I need to send any type of additional resources or facilities up here to protect it or manage it if something happened to it and it went down as a lifeline?
What about animal evacuations?
Yep.
It's a big thing.
Yep, so I just went in, we've got actually a count through ASAR. It's a company that's out there. It's a contract company. So as soon as we go into something that's scalable that would need animal evacuations, I know our sheriff's office and my small little animal department in the county would not be able to support that. I go ahead and activate the ASAR contract. They come out, and it's almost like Texar, but by animals. ASAR, Texar, right? They come out and they will support that. So you tell me, "Hey Greg, we need support with animal evacuation. Send me 3 crews of ASAR," or I send them out here. We pre-stage them out here during that time frame, underneath the contract.
That's awesome. Because we were always behind the 8 ball on that.
Okay, and now I've got contracts in place, and we will take care of that for it.
Cool.
And then critical resources, any of those critical resources that would have to do with lifelines, where are those at? What are those? And then, again, what's those talking points? Are they a gap? Nope, we're managed. Yes, we're managed, or whatnot. So that's kind of what that would look like for a profile. We'll build these out after we do these surveys, and then I'm gonna send you the link. You'll have access to this. Everything will be, because I've had some people that are really weary about security. So everything will be password protected, right? On a consistent basis to keep those updated. I will give you the password, you divvy it out however you want and do that kind of stuff. At any time you can say, hey Greg, it was compromised or whatever, and I can reset that stuff, but it will be password protected. You will have access to it. And then again, if you can't get into it because it's password protected, you can call me and we'll get you access to it. So there will be some protection behind everything that we build, and we will support it. But those are those jurisdictional profiles, and as we talk through that survey, and if you have stuff, plans and stuff like that, that's where I can integrate those plans there too, to help us out. So when we activate, I know Simonton's got these issues, and hey, they do have plans, we can help pull those up, and I've got, you know, a plethora of planners that can go through that stuff if you don't have the time, because that's usually the back end of stuff, right? Activate, everyone's responding, and then someone finally, about day 3, goes, don't we have a plan for that? Man, we should have pulled that up, right? So now that's one of my first things on my checklist my planners do. The first thing whenever we activate, we pull up the EOP, we find out what annexes are there, we pull those into play, we have them all lined out already now, who's responsible for what, and then they start activating underneath that plan so that we are following the plan. So then again, if you have those two, we can help you out with that and say, hey, you guys remember, you guys have this, right? Mm-hmm. Roles and responsibilities under that Texas government code. Remember, Title 418 is the big code for emergency management. That's where everything lies for that elected official during a disaster. That's where you set the declaration, and then that gives you all your legal authority. 418 is strong. It's probably one of the strongest legal binding things I've ever seen across the nation. To a fact that when it's your resource, not even the feds or state can come in and say, we're taking it and we're managing it how it's done. Because once you go into a declaration, it's yours. Nobody can touch it. And they can't strong arm you. They can come in, they can try it, and you can say, sit the bench, and you can help us out. But I'll let you know when you get to use it and if you don't get to use it, right? That goes across this, even the county. That judge cannot come in here and say, Mayor, we're taking these pumps. Mayor, we're taking these trucks once you've activated. No, they're yours. Nobody can touch them. True this, too. And this is a bit of knowledge, especially in the FEMA world. Okay? If you follow through with the proper forms, so let's say I give you a generator, right, for that activation. If you take it and you stand up and you activate that generator into your command structure, and it's a form ICS 211, you activate it into your instance, it's yours. Yep. Nobody can touch it until you give an ICS 221, which is a deactivation of that resource. Okay? And I'll tell you that's a strong thing. So make sure you follow those processes if you're doing that with those forms. And if you do that, you're protected. Your resources are protected. Nobody can come in. Here, and I'll state this, stars. I was under the impression that if you starred something, and once you got it, and you received it, it's yours. Just like the same thing. It's a state, them giving you a resource. Okay. Thank God I always follow federal procedures, right? So during Barrow, we got 4 or 5 generators during Barrow. Obviously during Barrow, generators were a need everywhere, right? And I had 3 of those 4 generators at facilities that were back up just in case their building went down. But their building wasn't down, but it was there just in case the building went down, and they were shelters or centers, so they needed a backup generator. But they weren't actually running the building because the building had power, right? So the state found out, because they've got little spies in the EOC, right? And they were like, hey, we know we gave you those 3 generators. We found out that they're on buildings that have power. We're taking them because Harris County needs them, and they need them for X, Y, and Z. Well, I said, no, you're not. They're mine. They're under 418. You can't touch them. And they said, well, it was a star, so it's the state's. I said, okay, but I filled the 211 now, and tell me I'm wrong, right? Now, we went back and forth a little bit. The State Operations Center, finally, the kid called me up, and he was like, what is the problem? Why are you making so much problems? And I said, well, your people are trying to steal my generator, and I'm under a 211, so I don't know what they're saying. And if they come down here, they're going to be met with firepower. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I did the ICS 211. I activated my instinct. He goes, oh, well, you know what you're doing. Yeah, we can't come and get them. And he squashed them. So again, following those procedures, following that way of doing things holds true. We can help you out in that too. If we activate and you again don't have the bandwidth, or let's say you're all displaced, we can activate those and note there's any type of star or anything, that's the way I follow, and then I would distribute it out under your guys' direction, under your authority. Okay? So, also, if you're following things, especially legislation, especially after Uvalde and now Kerrville, a lot of stuff's changing in emergency management world. House Bill 33 came out. It gave a bunch more direction on certifications and training. One of them is this new PIO course that we're going to be hosting here soon. If you have any capability or you would be on any type of media, it's a mandate now that you have to take that course before you get in front of a camera again. Just if you haven't read it, House Bill 33. Also, it's a big one for the state. If the state gets on scene now, it says, and they feel that you aren't managing the scene correctly, they get to take over. Done. Every jurisdiction, every county had to sign off on this new MOU with DPS honoring that, and then put those connection pieces together so that it gives them that authority to walk in. It kind of supersedes 418 for those types of incidents. So they can come in and they can be like, you're not doing things right, because a lot of that happened in Uvalde. The state wanted to jump in, they wanted to take over, and they felt that they couldn't because there was someone there as command and wasn't letting them. So they changed some of these things, especially an active shooter, so that the state can come in and be like, get out of the way, you don't know what you're doing. So, but again, we're meeting those requirements and following all those needs and giving all the training that needs to be at the county level for those, and upping a lot of this stuff over the next 6 months to a year to make sure that everyone's qualified and needed. One of those MOUs that I just brought up, ASAR, we've gone out and got a bunch of contracts and mutual memorandums of understanding for those types of activations. One of those right now is we are the first in the state to sign an MOU with the Barbecue Foundation and now Mercy and now Baptist Men, and it's all feeding. And Baptist Men actually does a bunch of debris management and clearing too. So before, these were all just nonprofits. They really didn't have MOUs. They just were the goods, and they came out and did this stuff. I always lean forward and say, hey, if I've got a handshake agreement, we've got an MOU, it's easier to activate you, and you almost have to because we have a handshake agreement. You're going to come to me before you're going to come to them. So we've gone out. I've got MOUs with all of these for feeding and the debris management help through the Baptist Men. The big thing that was missed when I saw it when I came in here was this county was good about feeding everybody the EOC. Nobody else, right? So now I've got all these feeding contracts. For instance, Baptist Men, and they've got everything wired. They can feed up to 100,000 people a day. Yeah. Wow. They also do sheltering centers and stuff like that. They partner hard with Salvation Army. But we've got MOUs with them in place from large scale to small scale, so we can activate them so I can make sure my first responders are taken care of while they're out there in the field and being fed. If incident command posts stand up and they need to be supported and being fed, we can send that kind of stuff out so that everyone's taken care of that's out in the field doing actual operations, not sitting in a comfy chair behind a computer and ordering a steak dinner, right? So making sure all those contracts and MOUs are in place. The other big one that I went through was a logistics and staging and sheltering support contract. The county bought into that in 2025, and it's through Ashbrit. If you've heard of that company, they're also a debris management contractor. So they do a wide range of things. They are the sole contractor that supported the entire border ops during the Biden era. So when all that stuff was going on down at the border and all of our troops were down there, Ashbrit was the company that went down there and supported all the staging down there. They're now the county's contractor. So if we have to stage, and if we have to put up areas for staging, so I know we stage some sheriff's office up here, vehicles, a lot of road and bridge equipment, we can designate this as a staging area for the county. I can send support up here so they can send, anything from shower trailers to porta potties, all managed to maintain the logistics. You just tell me what the staging area needs with the support of the amount many people are here, and I send the equipment through the contractor up here. And they also do huge sheltering support too. So that'll help us huge because The reason why I went into that contract is because they threw the epicenter at me with nothing, and said that was going to be a center, or a shelter. So they're going to be there to support us if we ever had to turn the epicenter into and make a shelter. But it can also do many other things throughout the county. And then I'm looking to do, instead of years past, we used to just set up basically one staging site in the county for assets, and then especially in flood, it get cut off, stuff happens wrong, right? So now, the Fort Bend County Fairgrounds will no longer be a staging area, it's going to be a base camp. And if you don't know, a base camp is for higher amenities and for when the resources are depleted at the staging areas, can come to the base camp, get replenished, and then go back, right? That was never, again, I guess, worked in the plan here, so that would be that. Ashbrook would support that. And then what I want is, and I'm talking to jurisdictions, especially during floods, we've quadded the county out so that we know where all this inundation would come with water and where our pockets would be and where we need to put staging. We'll put staging areas in those locations, especially during floods. If it wasn't during a flood, it'd be in precincts to make sure that everyone's taken care of, and then put that contract support there for those staging areas too. So that's how we'll do things going into a scalable event when we have time, such as a hurricane or known tornadoes coming or something like that. We'll have that into play. And then flood. Any questions with that?
Sounds good. Proactive.
Okay. And then I've also got Tetra Tech is another contractor that we brought on. They monitor our debris, because that's another process of that when we do debris, but they also do services for us. So, and I think most jurisdictions don't even know this. So whenever we go into an incident, and now such as Barrow, right? And usually the hard work comes after the response is over, right? It's all the recovery, it's all the financial stuff, right? So I can help you. Again, if you need that support, especially for grant writing, if you need it for the finance reimbursement side, we hire the Tetra Tech guys and gals to come in, and they support us during all of that and make sure all that stuff's done in accordance with FEMA, set all that stuff and work it through it. So the jurisdiction can ask for that support, and I can send contractors down here and we can help you out during that time frame too.
So they can come do like windshield assessments and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, like right after the event?
Yep. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're usually
Yes.
distracting people.
And so they went away from windshield assessments now. Now we do those P-stats and I-stats. So it'd be an I-stat now.
Right, yeah.
Also, I've got I-stat teams now throughout the county. I've got a bunch of volunteers, and then I've got a team of inside the county of people that have been trained. We all have this app on our phone that is connected to TDM. It's also connected via satellite, so it can never go down, even if we don't have data, that we can come out and do all the surveys, and TDM's still getting all that information, and the EOC is still getting all that information too. So all you have to do is ask for an I-stat team or a P-stat team.
Awesome.
P-stat teams are the teams that come out and do the public service buildings, and then the I-stat teams are the individual housing stuff. So we can come out during and after a disaster for that.
Is that separate from what FEMA does for communities?
Yes, so,
Okay.
and here's the thing, and I'll tell this, and I always tell this when I talk about I-stat and P-stat, it is a survey. It has nothing to do with FEMA, it has nothing to do with insurance, it does ask some of that stuff, but we aren't reporting it to anybody, you don't have to report it, and homeowners get really anxious about that. They're like, why do you want to know my insurance information? It gives us the idea of where the total disaster is and how impactful that is, and if I can show that to the state, I get more resources and money, and the feds look at that and they automatically just start dumping money.
Right.
And then when they do grant review, that's the big thing. If you can show that there was heavy impact, you get a higher percentage of the grant funding that comes in for mitigation after the fact. So those surveys are crucial, and it's hard. And again,
Struggled with that.
if the individuals don't want to do them, that's why I send my survey teams out. We'll just do it for them. Oh, we'll guess, right?
Right, yeah.
Yep, roof's gone.
Right.
Percentage, right? I don't know what your insurance is, but at least we're documenting it and showing the disaster in the area.
Right.
So they are trained in being able to do that stuff. And I've got tax assessors that are on the teams, so they're really good at it. So
You said that's separate from FEMA because
It is, yes, sir.
I actually did some work with FEMA, but the point is that they have initial assessment teams they will send out immediately.
Yep.
And they actually do
Well,
that.
so what they do is
Thumbnail.
they coordinate with the state, and the state will give them That's what, they usually come to the EOC, I sit down with them, and I give them my heat maps from our surveys. And
Excellent.
then that's where they send their teams now to start going out and helping those people. And then that's how I set up those disaster recovery centers. I look at those heat maps and I'm saying, hey, which areas do I need to set this up? Because they were the most heavily impacted. So like during Barrow, it was all on that east side up Siena and all that area. They were just devastated. So I set up a bunch of disaster recovery centers, more out there than out here, because it wasn't as much devastated. So that's how we do these things, and we coordinate with FEMA. Once they come in, they start asking for this data. We give them the data through the state's program, and then that's how they go out and help people. The debris management we already kind of talked about. Ashford is our debris management contractor. I'll tell you this, during Barrow, within 7 to 10 days after Barrow, we had our debris management contract up and running. Even the state and Ashford said, how? I don't know how you guys did that, but we did it. And they were already starting to go out and start picking up stuff within 7 to 10 days after that. Now, I got more kickback because people were like, why are you coming out so fast? I didn't even have time to get my stuff out to the side of the road. Now, we did a bunch of passes and stuff like that, but I'd rather be ahead of things and make more passes than way behind and then, you know, be Harris County, and they were screaming almost 3 weeks after and still weren't getting stuff picked up. So, but Ashbridge is on it. The cool thing is with Ashbridge, 4 of our contractors, so they're with Ashbridge, live in Fort Bend County.
Nice.
So they're always like,
Tune in.
yeah, we're going to be there. And because, and then most of them are friends with Scotty Weehawk, which is awesome, our bridge commissioner. They all go out and they survey the county and they come up with debris management sites and they help us pick those sites so it's already staged and all ready to go and all TCEQ certified. So that kind of gets us ahead of things. And it's all because, again, they just live in the county. Most of them have the land that they activate on. So pretty cool. It's good to know people. Strike teams. So I come from a federal world, and when I got here, I couldn't believe when we first activated, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of resources and a lot of people out there. How do you manage all this stuff? And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, where is everybody? I don't know. They just tell us. Oh, that's scary.
It's all doing our thing,
Yeah.
right?
Right?
Point us and go.
What's the percentage of us being completed? Is that being done? Is there the right people out there? Are they stationed? Right? I started asking a lot of questions, and then they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, we've gone into the process now after Barrow. Barrow was my trigger. During Barrow, I actually looked up at the screen because we have some Blue Force tracking in the EOC, and it tracks all the resources with their GPSs and their cars and MBTs and all that kind of stuff. And I looked up on the screen, and there was over 7,000 resources that were on the screen. And I'm responsible for them all, right? And I'm like, I don't know how we're doing that. This is insane. And then the reimbursement of that, right?
Yeah.
That's 7,000.
Right.
214s, right? Every single day, right? We capped out at 14,000 214s, right? And the sheriff's office said, I'm not doing that. Just our people aren't getting reimbursed. So anyway, I come from a federal world, and we do strike teams. So when I was on a strike team, when we would activate, I came with 127 dudes and girls and a bunch of equipment. And when we activated, we were put in, I was the lead, and we did our thing. And all they had to do was track me as a strike team lead, and I document everything for the team, and it's 1, 2, 14 for all the resources and all the people, right, per day. And that's it. Way easier to manage, right? So now you can say, Simonton can say, hey Greg, we need some support up here. I need some law enforcement. I need fire, right? We need a boat team, and we need some animal contract. All right, I'll activate ASAR, and then I'll give you a search and rescue strike team. I'll give you a safety and security strike team, and I'll give you a road and bridge strike team. And those crews come up, and they manage that, and I'm just managing the supervisor there that's managing all that for you, right? And then all I have to try is that strike team. And then now my picture goes from this to these little dots of all these big strike teams out there, and that's all I have to worry about. And I know everyone's taken care of because I know what's in those strike teams and what the capabilities of those strike teams while they're out there. Bigger scale. It's a lot easier for me to explain that to a judge or elected official. This is what you're getting, rather than, well, I think the sheriff's office is sending 4 Tahoes and 20 people and 30 rifles and, right?
30 rifles.
you know.
Right, I don't know how we're gonna track all this
And then 5 of
stuff.
those got redeployed somewhere else.
Right, exactly. And maybe they showed up, maybe they didn't. Right. So, a little bit easier to manage, but you'll see that coming in the future, and that's that conversation that I'll be having on those jurisdictional calls. If you need support, do you need some strike teams? Also, I'm building right now, if you were to go on the Texas State Guard's webpage, you can actually click, and they have a catalog of what they call mission-ready packages. Those are strike teams. I'm creating mission-ready packages as our strike team too, as a catalog, and that will be on our website, so you can click on there and be like, you know what? We need this, we need this. It's like shopping on Amazon, right? And you just ask for that stuff, and then we give it to you. Right. So that's coming here in the near future. I'll skip through some of this. The emergency operations plan, as they are updated, again, it's up to those counties because it's your plan too, and the jurisdictions, it's your plan, to, again, have access to that plan. Part of that jurisdictional profile that I showed you, you'll be able to click on there and you'll be able to access any of that. The basic plan, all the 22 annexes there. Then it will also give you when the last time it was updated and the most current one, so that you will never be behind on any of that kind of stuff. Because now, jurisdictions A probably didn't even know, and if they did know, they didn't know where to go to find it, and then they never thought to ask. And that, I hate that. You should always have, it's your plan. You should always have access to that plan. We do have the redacted versions for the county on our webpage, and now you'll have them on your jurisdictional profile, so you'll have access to them. And then while I'm building that, I'm going to send you a link in that survey that gives you access. I've already created a profile for the county that gives you access to those plans, and you can see them already on our profile until I get your guys' profile built up. All right, now, education. Words matter, especially in the federal world, okay? So, when Simonton stands up, do you stand up as an emergency operations center, EOC?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to tell you, okay? When you stand up as an emergency operations center, what resources are you giving out and supporting other people for, or incident commands?
Oh, we don't have any resources.
Bingo.
We do.
But they're yours. Right, and then that's, my next question is,
Yeah.
the resources that you have, do you share them, or do you use them?
We use them.
And then if you use them, do you command them? You own them, right? You command them. You're not an EOC. You're an ICP. You're an incident command post.
Okay.
Here's the thing, and here's where this county's failed, and this is why it hasn't gotten the support from the state in the past. If the EOC stands up, I stand up. Now Simon stands up as an EOC. Fulcher stands up as an EOC. Katie stands up as an EOC, right? That's support for the county that the state's supposed to communicate to incident command posts. So where's your incident command post? Right?
Yeah.
So what are you supporting? You're not supporting anything. So you're not going to get any money. You're not going to get any resources.
Right.
Right? Now, if I activate the COC and I say Simonton, Fulcher, Rosenberg, Richmond, Pleat, Fairchilds, Needville, all stood up as incident command posts, and I'm supporting those incident command posts.
Then you get the resources and we get the resources. Right.
It's got to trickle.
Trickle down.
If they're supporting so much and the communication's coming from all different ways, they don't know how to manage all those resource requests because it's not coming through one funnel. And then when they look at me, if I'm not supporting anything, no, Greg, we ain't giving you nothing.
Right.
You, me, where's your ICP? What are you supporting down on? Nothing. That's why you don't get things. So what I'm telling jurisdictions is when you stand up as the incident command post, you have unified command, you are running operations, and you tell me the resources you need, I'm the coordinator. I coordinate the resources of the gaps that you have, and I get them to you. And if we follow that way,
Right. Yeah.
we follow the federal way, we follow the state way, and we get our resources, and we show impact. Yes, sir.
So question, Lori, maybe you can answer. Don't we have a contract for pumps that we bring in if we needed the pumps? And is that a resource of ours because we have a contract?
It's yours. Yep.
It's ours, so we're
You
not,
command it.
It's ours
we're
directly.
still an ICP in your
Yep,
mind? Okay.
absolutely.
I just want to make sure we'd still be an
ICPs can
ICP.
have contracts. The difference between an incident command post and an emergency operations center, an emergency operations center supports, an incident command post commands. They're running, you have operations, you are running operations. I should have no operations in my office. They were running operations. Road and Bridge had running operations. I'm like, what are we doing? Send these guys out to the field, set up incident command posts, or support the jurisdictions that need this in their incident command post. They tell us what they need because they're out in the field, they know. If not, we're in here guessing, and that's what was happening. We think, or waiting for a jurisdictional call, and then it's too late. Well, Greg, we could have used this, 24 hours ago, but too late now, right? Now we need this. So if we do things like this, and the communication, and I've talked to also the commissioners on this, to get them to understand this, they need to support their constituents underneath those incident command posts, knowing that they're there to help them. So again, that's another communication factor for you as a commissioner through the EOC too, so if you're having issues. So leveraging your commissioners, standing up as an incident command post, and the EOC's there to support. And I actually just spoke about this at budget just the other day to the commissioners when I went up for my budget hearing, to tell them that this is how they need to support their jurisdictions as they stand up as these incident command posts, and seeing what they are missing out there for incident command and unified command, and then again going and vouching for legislation and all this kind of stuff to get things changed and get us what we need. So we'll see. But that makes sense?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just-
Yeah, when I got here, first time we ran through things, I was like, I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on. There's so many EOCs, and are they talking to us? Do we ever talk to them? And then I was thinking, man, there's a lot of resources in this county, and where are all these little incident command posts, right? So we've talked through some of that stuff, and that's an education factor, I would say. And if we go into this next scalable incident, I will say, is Simonton standing up with unified command underneath an incident command post? I document that, and I let the state know that, yep, they are, and I'm supporting down. So. And then again, that helps you guys out too. You guys can put in your own stars, but I'm there to support. If you ain't got it, you ain't got time for it. Literally, my logistics staff, every operational period is 30 deep. There's 30 people sitting on Web EOC. There's 30 people, waiting to do stuff. So make them work. Because usually I'm like,
Sold.
right? I'm like, what are y'all doing, right?
That's awesome.
I already talked about this real quick, disaster declarations. That was the other thing when I got to this county. It was always post. It was always post-disaster. They thought that you had to meet threshold before you could put in a disaster declaration. And I warned them, and Barrow, at 5 a.m., if you remember, July 10th, at 3 a.m., or actually it was 5 a.m. on July 9th, after Barrow. Fox 26 News came across the radio, or across the news, and said, Fort Bend County is the only one that declared. We don't know why. Everyone else around was declared because our county judge and people at the time were sitting there going, we're going to make threshold? And I'm like, I don't know. Why haven't we declared already? I don't know what you guys' problem is, right? I told you to declare 5 days ago, right? And again, it was sitting there, and I literally, right after, when you're not supposed to, during response, I'm sending out assessment teams because they would not do it until I told them there was enough devastation to meet the capita, $4.88 per census. It meets about $3.2 million of public service disaster that I can declare. They were so worried.
Greg, for the old school mindset, which has got us there,
Yep.
Right.
what's the negative if you declare early?
None.
Right, there's zero, so.
So it's all with the
I think you
verbiage
and I
that,
talked to us about that a couple
it's
years
the
ago.
verbiage that you put in the declaration. So the first one is for emergency service staging and shelter preparedness. That's what you put in that first set of declaration. And response if there is some sort of disaster before the disaster. That's all you put in there. Now, you declare, that's when all that other disaster verbiage comes in. We met declaration, we've already been federally notarized, all that kind of stuff comes in after the fact, and that's what protects you under knowing that you're going to go into a federal declaration, you met threshold, and you're going to get all those FEMA dollars to reimburse. But until you put that in that clause, none of that worries. Nothing goes against you, because all you were doing was staging equipment and making sure you were ready ahead of time. But you declared, so FEMA looks at that and says, all right, we'll start reimbursing from that day on. Yeah. So this last freeze,
So
January.
again, it's all about the verbiage.
Absolutely. So January, right? And this was a hard test, right? Freezes are hard, okay? And if you remember right, 3 years ago, Austin went out, the city of Austin, they had a freeze. They did a disaster declaration right before the freeze. They didn't meet threshold, and the city had to do all the reimbursement for the back end of people and all the disasters that happened. That because the feds came in and said you didn't meet threshold because they put the wrong verbiage in there. So going into freeze in January, 3 days before, knew it was going to freeze. We were going to have some water on the roads. We were starting to stage, and I called county attorney up and I said, Bridget, declare. And she was like, whoa, right? And I said, all right, here's what we've done. And I, thank goodness, I went and got some legal authority, had them all review, had TDM review it and FEMA review it. We had a proper formulated declaration. I said, this has already been vetted through lawyers, this has already been vetted through TDM, and it's already been vetted through FEMA. That's the declaration you should support. All you have to do is tell the county judge to sign that and put the our Texas Fort Bend County logo on it. Okay, boom, we had the declaration. I had it 3 days before. It's never happened in the state, or this county. But now, this is the way we move. Now I've got those templates, and then it held true. We didn't meet state threshold. We met state threshold right there at the end. They sent resources down. They helped us out because we actually had apartment building catch on fire in Richmond during that time. But we didn't meet federal declaration, but didn't matter. I didn't have to do any reimbursement, didn't need any of that because of the verbiage that we had in that place for emergency staging. And the state reimbursed us instead for the resources that we used during that time frame for the resourcing and staging because we met the state declaration. So nothing will go wrong.
Okay.
And again, what I will always do, and you'll see on our the dashboard that I'll show you here in a minute, you'll have access to that during a disaster, and when we declare, you'll see that. I'll let you know, and then you can take that same verbiage and use it for your declarations and put it forward so that you know you're covered also. Or you can ask for me to put you underneath my declaration. I just list you. Simonton's underneath our declaration because you write off on our emergency operations plan. And I think it was about 6 or 7 months ago I sent you guys the MOU for the emergency operations plan. That was the other thing. I thought, who would think, if you signed off on our emergency operations plan, it's not just my plan, it's your plan.
Right.
And so if we activate underneath that emergency operations plan, we're all activating underneath the emergency operations plan. Okay. Nope, you also have to have an MOU with each jurisdiction. And how? Why? Lawyers. Okay. So during Beryl, apartment actually collapsed, right? 175 people displaced, right? It was at the peak of Beryl, right? So we send crews out. Richmond sends crews out. We do all this stuff for 5-6 hours. Get all these people. I have to set up an emergency shelter at the Fort Bend County Fairgrounds. Setting all that. Sending all the resources down there. Because Red Cross wasn't even there. Doing all of this, right? Got it all up and running, blah, blah, blah. After the fact, we come back and say, all right, reimbursement. FEMA goes, that's not an unincorporated. I said, no, it's the city of Richmond. They were like, do you have an MOU with them? I was like, what do you mean? They brought up the emergency operations plan. Well, right up on the emergency operations plan. We're activating underneath the emergency operations plan, underneath the declaration. Yeah, but you're in their area. They get to claim it. You don't. So Richmond got to claim all those resources and all that response and all the county stuff I had to throw away. If we have an MOU, we both can do it. Same goes too. If I've got unincorporated stuff, you guys send stuff out, you guys couldn't claim if you came out and helped me. So it saves us both in that. Lori, your guys' team signed off on that, and your council signed off on that, so you guys are covered now, and we're covered moving forward. And then that MOU's updated every 3 years, and we have triggers for that, so we'll keep it going. Have you guys gone and seen the new Javari WebEOC upgrade? Okay. If you guys want, remind me or I'll put it in the email, that I'll put a link in there for you guys. We can come out and give you guys training on the new, it's a whole new system, whole new dashboard. We're cleaning a lot of the profiles up with this new upgrade. Also with this new upgrade, I don't know if you guys were aware, but before, we used to be on the server for Houston, right? Because Houston buys off on that underneath the UWASI program, and that's how we get WebEOC. But because of that, we're on the Houston server. The Houston server doesn't talk to the Lone Star server that the state talks and does everything on. So once I submit a star, or you submit a star, and it goes through me and goes to the state. Once it's at the state level, I never has visibility of it because it goes through different servers, right? So I literally had to sit there with the TDM rep and be like, hey, pull up your screen, show me what we got, where's my stuff, right? And I had to rely on this one person to give me all this data. And then I have to rely on this one person to communicate for me, and then trust that they're telling me what is actually going on with my star request. With this new system, I've got access. So now that takes that all away. I can see what's going on. I can see how long it took the SOC to actually activate my star request, how long they triggered it, and then the whole process of when it's going to be here and how it's being processed. But before, I basically had to give me printout reports and vouch for that. So that's gone away with this new system, and we can teach you guys how to see that kind of stuff and monitor stars through that process now. Sheltering strategy. I actually have a contractor right now working with a committee in the county and HHS and a bunch of our staff, and we are building a sheltering plan for the county. I already have I would say on-the-fly one that works, but I wanted a more robust plan from mega shelter to large scale to medium shelters to small scale shelters. Because when I got here, I said, what's your sheltering plan? They said, Greg, we're a pass-through county. We don't shelter. I said, awesome. I understand that for hurricanes, but what if it floods? What if a bomb goes off? What if there's a train derailment in Richmond, Rosenberg, and everyone needs to evacuate, right? And they all go, oh, we didn't think about that. So we've now built, I've got, through the county, I've got 18 shelters that are medium. I've got 10 that are large scale, and then I've got probably about 20 or 30 small scale shelters throughout the county. And then I've got the epicenter as a mega shelter. That mega shelter can house anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 people if we needed to at that scale. And then this plan is, how do we activate those shelters if we need to? What are and then again, what's the capacity of which one? What's it take to run them? And then again, if it's a building and it needed a shower complex or a trailer and it needed toiletries, do I need to activate those? And then if it didn't have a generator, does it need a generator? Does it have a generator? What's it run off? Gas, fuel, air, whatever. It's all there. So that's what this contractor's going through, is now looking at all these areas. And then if your jurisdictional profile, you guys tell me, I send Red Cross out, we certify it, we manage it, we find all those gaps, and then we put it part of that sheltering plan. And here's what I told my office, and I'm educating people too. Now, whenever you activate shelters, the fastest way to get people to go back home is to close shelters, right? Or you end up as a Superdome in Katrina, right? So, and you always want to scale down, right? So, if I was to open up the mega shelter at the epicenter, I would annotate it right away. It's only going to be open up for 7 days. We're going to damage control because I needed to rush of people. We need to put them there. We're going to stabilize. And I don't know if you've ever been to a mega shelter. It's the worst thing in the world because you can't manage that many people pushed in together with a disaster and think that rape's not going to go on, thievery's not going to go on, pedophilism's not going to go on, all that stuff, because you don't know these people. It's horrible. I'm telling you, I've had to experience. So, you try to close those things as fast as possible. So, yep, they'll be there, rush of people, we get them covered, we get them down, but 7 days we're shutting this thing. Then you have the capability to open up large-scale shelters, move them to large, from large to medium, medium to small. And I can guarantee you, this is how we did this in Sandy, and it was awesome. Had 4 or 5 mega shelters set up, 7 days, we're shutting them down, had large scale. The minute you close that mega shelter, and we would have anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 people in those things. As soon as you say close, and you have to move over here, get on the bus, and we're going to take you over there, almost 3/4 of those people are going to be like, we're good, I'm going home.
Yeah,
right? Well, I got family, right?
Yeah.
And it gets people to go back where they want to or where they need to as fast as possible. So that's that sheltering plan that we're developing in the county. The contractor actually just had a conversation this morning, a Teams call, and they're going to have it done by August 1st. So again, going into heat of hurricane season, we'll have something available. And again, I'll have it access for you guys and give it out once it's out so you guys will see what that strategy looks like in that sheltering plan. Points of distribution. So let's go. This is what our activation dashboard looks like in the EOC. A lot of this stuff is API, which coordinates with things. So let's say if I send out, when we go into an activation, I usually send you guys a link and I say, hey, if jurisdictions can give me their SIT rep, and on that SIT rep it tells you, hey Greg, are any of these lifelines you have a problem with them, right? And there's a trigger on there to turn it red, amber, green, right? And you say, the mayor says, nope, we got communication problem, we got energy problems, and we've got safety and security problems, great, transportation, red, 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 right? The minute you put it on there and it's submitted, boom, all those go red. So I know, boom, something happened, because normally they're green inside the EOC. And that's a trigger right there for us to know. As soon as that was put in, oh, someone said something, let's figure it out. Then there's someone over there in logistics that monitors those sit reps, they come in, and then again, we start pulling those, we find out what that lifeline is, and then what was the concern. And then again, make that phone call. We're not waiting for a jurisdictional phone call. I'm saying, hey, Lori just said red, what do you need, right? And we have that conversation, I can get stuff out to you as soon as possible. That's how fast that stuff can happen. We put our current IAP and sit rep as we get those mass care sites too. There's survey teams out there at those mass care sites that are updating surveys. And as those surveys, if they're open, if they have issues and whatnot, they tell me if they're up, down, problems, and all that kind of stuff. So it gives me the status. And then again, that links to a map on GIS that we share to the public as they're open and as they're closed. And are they at capacity? Are they not at capacity? Are they still taking intake, not intake? It has all that capability. How many resources are currently out there in the scene, how many personnel are activated, when those jurisdictional updates, those trigger. If Simonton was to put one in, instead of it being white, it goes to yellow and lets me know one's triggered, someone just put in a jurisdictional profile. Even if you didn't annotate anything on there that was bad, at least I know there was an update and we can go in there and start reviewing that stuff. Our partner updates, any of those Amazon, big critical infrastructure, MUDs, LIDs, they're all on there and for our partners. And so if they're sending reports, it does the same thing, and then departments in the county. Again, as you guys activate, it will tell you level 1 as you fill that out. So on your survey, it says, hey, no, great, we activated at this level. It lets you know, oh, Simonton's activated, it's a level 1. So we can track that too. And again, we have that historical data for you at the back end of stuff. So if FEMA comes back and says, hey, what date did you activate? You can actually call me and I can say, hey, on this date you guys sent us this, here's all the forms, blah, 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 and I can give you everything for documentation. Status of schools, the schools go up and down, and then neighboring counties, so we can monitor all that and making sure that everything's up and down and the status of those things. And then food menu and a battle rhythm for outside response and inside response for the EOC. So everyone will know what we're feeding each single day, who's feeding, and then what are the locations of those feeding areas and the contractor support that's there. With points of contact. So if somebody was out there, they went there and there's no more food, they have a point of contact to let them know and then let the EOC know so I can get it taken care of. And then again, you can work through them all, but they all look a lot like that. Operations has a lot of the road and bridge stuff as closures happen. Also, we link in with Apple and Google and Waze now. So the minute we close something on our GIS dashboard, within 3 minutes, it closes it out on all those maps also. So if somebody was out there, they would know we just closed something out, and they can't get that way.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, we just did that with our Esri and GIS team this last 6 months, so huge thing. So, but again, that's how we activate and what it looks like underneath an activation and some of the dashboards that we use. And again, I can give you access to this, and you guys can monitor and watch stuff as we move through things. So, we also have mass alerting. So if you get to a type of situation, hey, I need to send a boil water notice out, or hey, we need to evacuate, I can send those evacuations out for you guys. And I have licensing for IPAWS. So the difference between mass notification and IPAWS message, IPAWS are specific to emergency and only emergency case, and there's certain lists that FEMA will only allow us to push those out. The difference is if I push out mass care, it's only anybody who's signed up for our alerts.
Same.
If it's IPAWS, it's,
Everybody gets it?
yeah. The hard thing is, there's a setting on your phone now, you can turn them off. The state of Texas has been designated as the worst state that people turn them off. And I feel, yes, and I feel it is because there's so much weather here, right? And people just get tired of hearing all those alerts and everything, right? Or the rivers are rising. If the river rises, you automatically start getting these IPAWS alerts, right? So people shut them off. And so even, we ran our drill in November for our mass notification through the county. And when I hit the button, yeah, we were 11 minutes late, but when I hit the button and it went out, it was supposed to ping 943,000 people. That's how many were in the geofence area. 143 people got the message.
Holy crap.
Yep. And they can do back-end stuff, and looked at this, a lot of people have them turned off. And it was a test, you can actually turn off tests too. So, I figure I probably hit half. If those weren't turned off, we probably only, but that's still a lot of missed stuff. The cool thing is it heat mapped a lot of these areas where people did get the message, and now I can look to see where people aren't getting the message. And that does help me out in a planning stage, because now I know I need to send first responders down there and at least start sending the word out, sending different types of notices, because I know that they're not going to get that ping. So, but we do mass alerting, and we do have that capability in the office. And I'm here at your disposal anytime. I can literally do it from this piece of equipment right here if I needed to. Everything's template. I can push it out at any time. So, and then dispatch also has that for me too. So if I'm not somewhere where I could send that out or in a bad signal area, I call dispatch. Dispatch sends it out for me right away. So there's 24/7 response for that.
So would you all, you just mentioned it, I don't know if this is the time to ask it, but would you all coordinate with the sheriff's office to
Yep.
send out for the door-to-door?
Yep.
That's part of our plan.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I call somebody that I know that works in the
Yep.
sheriff's office.
Nope.
That's probably not the proper protocol.
Yep, call me, I activate that plan, I activate that strike team to come up and support. And as you guys set up as an ICP, that's where, again, the benefit is. All you have to do is say, Greg, I need unified command up here. I want law, I want fire, and I want EMS. Okay, and I'm gonna send you battalion chiefs, and I'm gonna send you majors and above up here to run your unified command, and then they're gonna come up and they can help evaluate, and then they can help get those resources because they're part of your unified command. That's the other problem I felt in this county. If I don't supply you with the right people as unified command, again, you guys are guessing, and then you don't know who to talk to, and you might go into a different source, then I'm left out of the mix, and then there's no sway, right? But if you've got someone from the sheriff's office in here for you, and they ask, that's a lot of strong, right? You're going to get those resources if a major's asking for that. So talking with the sheriffs, talking with the EMS chiefs, talking with the ESDs, this is how we need to move things to do things right, and then it helps them out. They're not in these little pockets thinking, where's this at? Are we helping the jurisdiction? Are we not helping the jurisdiction?
Yeah.
Is this being done? No, it's a unified approach. That's why it's called unified command. You're all here, they're here to support, and then they've got the contacts to the EOC to get the resources there, and then they own those resources, so they can get them there. And they know, no. I know that there's a Tahoe sitting down there, and there's some reserve police officers we can call on duty right now, right? And they can make that happen. Yeah.
Great.
This may be a silly question, but I remember when we had to call the sheriffs to come out to go door to door, we had to literally create them maps and print them maps for the city, so they knew where to go. Is that?
So I would say yes, that can happen,
Okay.
only because sometimes they're going to send somebody out here that probably patrols
Right.
Needville, right, or somewhere else and hasn't been up in this area. Just because of circumstance, that's who came in first, and you asked for it first, so that, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. They do have better capability now with their CAD systems and whatnot, so they would have that, and you just tell them, hey, I want this section, right, and then they're going to be able to go on their MBTs and do that stuff now. But in the years past, or if we lose power, yeah, possibility, or data, but now each one of the Tahoes and all that now have SAT on them, so they should never go down.
We have a good map, like BAT, that comes from the GIS system. That
Those are awesome.
probably put an update in the book,
Yeah.
just so that there's a paper copy.
Yeah, that we use. It had all the streets laid out.
Okay, and then I'll end with this. I'm trying to be even more progressive. So we've reached out with Ranger, now Amazon, and Sam's. So I've created what they call disaster carts. These are the 3 leading companies for emergencies that are kind of pushing the way. And they're smart because they're making a lot of money in a disaster. They've set up what they call with local communities disaster carts. So if I'm going into a type of disaster such as a flood, I know I'm going to need sandbags, blue tarps, shovels, blah, blah, buckets, all this kind of stuff, right? Amazon, Sam's, Granger on the industrial side, right? They've got all this stuff on their emergency carts. And I can go through there and I can say, Fort Bend County, I want this. At this, well, our population is this, so it calculates automatically. You will need this much percentage, boop, over in your cart. Now, it's a $30,000 ticket to activate that cart. The county has to pay up front. Once I do that, that cart gets activated, and again, I'm proactive, so that happens, and supply chain sends it down all into this area and earmarks it for Fort Bend County residents only. And it's here, and it's staged in the area, so then after the disaster, people can get on Amazon, can get on Sam's, and go, I want this, I need this, and it's going to be here. And it's designated for our zip code. So if somebody outside our zip code put it in, it goes, sorry, out of stock. Okay? So we've got that through Sam's, we've got that through Amazon, and then we got that through Granger on the industrial side with all the industrial. So, and then they've also done some algorithms and whatnot over past disasters and know in the area of what was called upon during those times, and they were in those carts too. All we had to do was trigger that $30,000, and again, that's a dime a dozen for me. I'm going to get reimbursed for that anyway. So it actually helps me because it's going to meet threshold faster, right? So the more contracts I put into place, the more faster I meet threshold, and feds come in and take care of the dollar bill anyway. So we're doing that with Amazon. The next thing, now, I don't have a lot of trust in it, but we're going to try it out. It's called virtual points of distribution. So during disasters, people donate big time to Amazon or those industries want to donate also. So what they start is a donation card. Years past, you'd have to call them up, they'd have to distribute out, we'd have to go set up a points of distribution site, we have to run the points of distribution site, everyone has to drive through or come in and get all this stuff, it's just cumbersome, right? Now they got a process, again, you need data and power, but if that's there, you can set up what they call virtual pods. So those donations they make available, they put them in a certain cart, right? And then what they do is they would say, Emergency Operations Center, do you guys want access to these points of distribution, virtual points of distribution, the donation site? What do you have? Yep, we've got canned food, we've got water, we've got blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, we're going to send you 140,000 vouchers. Okay, we get the vouchers, we put them out to the jurisdictions. You guys would electronically, and I can't figure out the system, they're trying to explain that to me. I'm actually going to call next week with how that works. But then the public jumps on there, basically bids for a voucher, they get the voucher, and then what they do is go on to Amazon, use the voucher, they get the water, free. Right? So it's that virtual points of distribution, so I'm not going to have to go set up this stuff. It gets delivered to their front door. And they don't have to go sit in line for hours and hope that there's going to be some water left or some ice left when they ordered it. So we're going to try it out this next disaster. Actually, we're doing a test run in July with the Texas State Guard. We're going to put this into play and see if it works. We're going to set up a points of distribution and then do a side thing with the virtual pod and see how fast we can get rid of the stuff and see who's faster and whatnot, see if it actually works. Kind of hold them accountable to see what they do. But
can the jurisdictions claim the voucher?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can say, hey,
we want this many percentage of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and then when that would come out, I'd like on a jurisdictional call, I'd say, hey, we've got, Amazon, they just did a bunch of donations. We've got this many vouchers. Does anybody want any percentages of these? And then it'd probably be first come, first serve. So, but yeah. Any questions?
This is very comprehensive.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, this is.
Let's see.
Much more streamlined and proactive.
And then, so you guys are aware, this is my day-to-day and how I manage the office on Blue Sky days. So our I've got a command board that I automatically look in here every single day. It tells me the status of the EOC by percentage of computers up, computers down as they do checks every single day in there. It does a virtual check and lets me know if things are updated, so it tells me any minor issues or whatnot. Any of my resources that we have, we do checks on and makes the status of all those so I know exactly what can and can't go out. All of our generators, our equipment trailers, our Starlink statuses, our perks. Again, that's constantly being monitored and checked and ran every single day. And if there's an issue with it, it turns it to like this is usable, but it's got an issue with it. So it's a perk. That's a portable emergency radio communication system. It's basically a little Pelican case. It's got 6 SIM cards in it, and anything from Motorola, FirstNet, AT&T, and what's the other one? T-Mobile. And when that thing's activated, it sends connections a harder, stronger bandwidth than a phone would, and then it gives a 2-mile radius for Wi-Fi.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's all in a kit this big, right? And then if I connect a Starlink to it, so then I can connect a Starlink to it, I throw the Starlink SAT out in the yard, and then, so if I can't connect to a tower, it's going to connect to SAT, and then you've got Wi-Fi via SAT. So, and I've got 12 of those kits ready to go. I've got 6 Merc trailers, which are those on steroids. So it's got 2 SAT capabilities. It's got 17 SIM cards in it. Actually, if you remember, Sugar Land had a little cyber attack not too long ago that they didn't tell anybody about, but they did. They were attacked. As soon as they got attacked, within 15 minutes, their dispatch called down to our dispatch, and they were like, hey, you got to take over. Dispatch is down. It crushed dispatch. Dispatch called over to me and said, hey, can you help out? I sent one of those Merc trailers out and had it up there in 30 minutes and set up, and within 45 minutes, I had their whole dispatch up and running off of SAT. So some of the stuff that we have now, again, very deployable. Command vehicle I have access to, that you guys have access to, not only during disasters too, but events. If you guys are having events that are city ran and you guys want resources, you can ask for any of this stuff, and we will help facilitate it. So, because my theory is, if it's used equipment, it's going to be used during a disaster. If it's sitting, it's rotting.
Right.
And so we continue to try to use all of this stuff on a consistent
Oh, well,
basis.
you told Angela now.
Y'all have a bunch of drones now?
Yes, so I have 40 drones in the county. I've got 10, I've created 10 strike teams of those. And then you can ask for a drone and drone support for any of that. They've actually been pushed out. I actually pushed them out before even law enforcement. So usually if there's a search and rescue, lost kid, elderly, lost, type of search and rescue, I automatically send the drone teams out. They've got infrared, they've got LiDAR, they've got all that kind of stuff that can help find individuals. We had one car wreck the other day where it smashed into someone down in Fulshear. The guy jumped out and took off running. Just so happened Hazmat was up there. They had the drone. I sent them over there. They flew the drone. They found the guy in 2 minutes. So highly capable, and again, drone support. And then what we use is called Drone Sense. It's a program that we use inside the EOC. So as soon as drones start flying, it goes into the Drone Sense program, and we can log into the EOC. And if you've been in the EOC, there's huge display boards. So I can throw up the display board with that map, and then all the drones that are flying are on the map and where they're at in location, right? And then all I have to do is click on the drone, and I'm seeing what they're seeing. Then I can also do what they call in Drone Sense Magic Link. So I can say, hey, create Magic Link, it sends a QR code and a link. I can put it on my phone, and I can send it out to any first responder. So the sheriff's office, I can literally send it to the sheriff. He doesn't have to be on scene. He can get to the scene. He's watching on his phone what the drones are seeing before he even gets there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So could council and people that haven't been involved with emergency operations, I mean, can they come tour the facility?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. This is our resource request. It'll be in this email that I sent to you guys. This is all the resources that I have access to. Again, if you don't know what something is, you can see that my command vehicle and my digital signboards and a Cummings trailer is clicked on here, right? If you scroll down, it gives you pictures of exactly what all that stuff is as you've asked for it.
It's cool.
You know where to get those light towers this time.
Yep,
Next time.
so,
Right, it's like a little checklist.
Yeah.
Two of these, one of these, yeah,
Really great.
any questions?
amazing.
Thank you
Can I ask
so
a-
much for coming out and giving us the
Absolutely.
latest and greatest.
ERC,
I've been the EMC now
ESC
for
has a
almost
great
2.5 years.
you have done a lot of work in 2.5
I mean, you know,
years.
before, like, we never had jurisdictional
No.
calls.
No,
Like, we had,
No.
all we had were the SOC calls, which,
Yeah.
like, don't have anything, like, they don't even wanna talk to us, you know? It was crazy.
yeah.
You have
Yeah,
done.
it's amazing. Y'all have done amazing things.
Amazing
How
things.
do you integrate with
So, you know,
ESD?
The ESDs, so again, we train with them quite a bit. So I would say on a monthly and quarterly basis, we train with them. I'm actually talking at TDM at their conferences at the end of the month. They're kind of, they want to know why we are coordinating and responding the way we are in Fort Bend County. And it's because I feel that in emergency management is always based off exercises. We exercise, tabletops, full-scale exercises. Well, if you don't train for the exercise, you're going to fail every single time. And that's usually what you find. You find these exercises and people just mark them up. Yep, failed here, poor communication, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on an after-action report that gets put on a shelf. So I've come into the county and I said, like to my staff, I said, when was the last time you were out in ESD when they ran a drill and you guys ran out there as command and oversaw what they do and then how they communicate with you and then you communicate with them, how they would communicate with the EOC. And do they know how that works? And we found really quick, as we started doing this, no. Sheriff's Office, whenever they did air training, air assault training, or active shooter, we go out now. I give that training now, they don't give that training. I sit there, we set up command during those times, and then we tell them how they would coordinate inside command, and then outside to the EOC if they needed that support. So we're doing a lot more training with the ESDs, the Sheriff's Office, the constables, our local PDs on a consistent basis. And then I go to every fire chief's meeting that's the last Thursday of every month. Whenever the law enforcement group, because they have to invite me. I can't just show up like the fire chiefs. We're not friendly like that. And the police do a breakfast. Of course, donuts. But whenever I usually get invited to those once a quarter, so I attend their breakfast, their coordination breakfasts. So that's usually how we integrate. And then again, that's where I'm pushing for my staff to be more involved in training. We're actually going to start now, which is called multidiscipline, multi-jurisdictional training. So we'll set up the coordination for the training. It won't be an exercise. Hey, we'll run a hazmat type of situation. We'll run a major scale fire, or we'll do something that would be coordination with all these assets that we would normally do, and then you just expand it, because again, if I can do it that way, if it gets larger scale, it's just times 10 at that point. So that's how.
So the question is, are you working with ESD
Yep.
for? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Sounds like there's been a lot of changes.
Yes.
Simonton has done a lot of work over the years to be very self-sufficient, and it's a good time for us probably to have some training or some
Yeah.
drills or some
help.
something, so to figure
Yep.
out, we don't have to do it alone. We
Nope.
have a really good plan, but we don't have to do it alone.
Absolutely.
And what are the
Well, and that's the
innovations
thing
that
too,
help
I'd like
us
to
do
come up
more
here
faster?
and run through that, so I know what your plan is.
Yeah.
And so again, then I can see, all right, this is how you guys, this is where you're covered, this is where you're not covered. How can I help you? Or, again, people can go with a plan, I always say, for 72 to 96 hours. After that, you're spent. You're going to be done. And so when do I need to send the cavalry in to help you to keep that motivation going if the problem didn't stabilize, right? So again, talking through that, coming up with some training, we come up here, walk through some stuff, we can help you out and figure that out. And I think I told you, right when I first took over, and I remember having this conversation with you, you said, Greg, how do I know the county's going to support us? Right?
Yes.
You did. You called me out. And I said, here's my motto. And I've lived by this motto, and I stay by this motto. Sugarland, Missouri City, Stafford, Fulsher now, Rosenberg, I don't pick up their phone calls when we go into a disaster. They have enough resources, they have enough people to maintain for 96 hours. The people that I'm calling, the phones that I'm answering, Simonton's, Pleaks, Needvilles, Fairchild, all these small areas that need my resources first because you ain't got them. So I send all the resources out as you guys need them first, and you're smaller, I can stabilize you faster. Now, about the time I'm stabilizing you, now the Sugar Land's calling and saying, we're done. We were able to do it, but we're depleted, come and help. And now I've got resources now that I can move that way if needed. And that's the way my team operates, that's how we operate in the EOC. I tell them specifically, I don't care if Sugar Land called you and if Fairchild called you, you better answer the phone first for Fairchild and they better get the resources before Sugar Land does. Tell Sugar Land to pack sand.
One more
We
question.
I'm gonna
appreciate
keep
that.
that.
So the difference between what we have today, EOC, which has been handled by
I'm sorry,
these
sir,
people.
that's an ICP.
Right, right, that's what I'm saying. So now we're gonna call ourselves an ICP,
Yes,
and we're
sir.
gonna stand up as an ICP.
Yes, sir.
What does it do for these people and the different tasks that they now have to learn or do
The only
as an
thing it
ICP?
so honestly, nothing, because you were already operating as an ICP.
Just calling it the wrong thing.
Terminology of the wrong thing.
All right, we're changing
Do
three
the right
letters.
thing.
You, honestly, an EOC should never have an operations section. Just shouldn't. You had an operations section, you were operating. You're an ICP.
Okay.
You run as normal. And again, you tell me where your bandwidth is missing. If you need some finance people, because you're short on finance, if you need planners up here, I send planners. If you need more unified command, I send unified command up here.
Just assume we need it all.
Yeah.
I think some of the issue is, I know we have a disaster, like we have 4 in a row, so we were, by the time Harvey got here, we were pros.
Yep.
We were, I mean, we knew Web EOC, we knew how to order, we knew,
Right.
but now it's been a few years, and we get on there and we're like, Justin, how do you do that?
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's, on this, you'll have a link to ask for some training. We'll come up here, we'll do some
Run
refresher
through
stuff.
some stuff
Yeah.
and
Cool.
That
Yeah.
sounds
cheat
fantastic.
sheets,
Yep.
so we know.
Absolutely.
Well, and
Yeah.
we've done a whole lot of work around flood response, because that's what we always
Right.
get. But we don't have any plan for,
Like
So
tornado.
we've got,
there's a fire.
yeah,
there's a-
we've actually got a really cool system too now. It's called Scribe. As we're doing things, so let's say Web EOC, I can activate this system called Scribe, and it's AI, while we're working through that. So while I'm showing you, right? Let's say I'm trying to show you how to do the new STAR system, right? So I'm showing you, and we're walking through it, and I'm talking through it with you. In the back end, this AI Scribe is developing a training for you,
Oh, really?
right? With pictures, following my arrow, clicking, right? And it gives step-by-step guidance, and at the end of that, I say, training, Simonton, send. And now it gives you a whole training thing of what we just went through, line by line by line, and everything that I was saying and all that kind of stuff moving forward too. We were having a hard time where we were going back and trying to do training documents or notes and then doing all that kind of stuff. And why? When there's an AI system, I'll do it for us. We're using AI to do some of that stuff too. So when we come up here, if you want us to activate some of that stuff, we can do that. And then I can give you a training guideline afterwards that's specific to you. Yep.
Fantastic.
All right.
I sure appreciate it.
Yep.
I'm
Thank you guys for
totally
your
impressed
time.
with all of the technology that you've come up with too, with all of the screens and the links, and, I mean, that's a lot of work, that's a lot of technology and background that somebody had to program and develop and design.
So, and I will tell you, so VOC, that program that I showed you with all the dashboards, we built all that in-house, the team that I have.
Excellent.
Yeah,
That
and again,
is
it's,
amazing.
so here's what I told my team. I said, I don't want to go out to assist, I'm tired of morphing my operations around a system.
Right.
I want a system to morph around me and how we operate. And so we found this program, VOC, and it's exactly that. I can morph it into anything I want and run my operations the way I
So
want.
if y'all created it, why not patent it?
Yeah.
I mean, you could sell it to other counties, right?
Yeah, so here's the funny thing. I'm making VOC billions of dollars. Because now they're taking, it's their product because it's their system, right? I'm basically, I've told them I want to start getting a cut. Because literally, I get 2 or 3 phone calls a week. In fact, I was just on a phone call 2 weeks ago with the city of Austin their whole emergency management team called me and I sat down and gave them a 101 on how we do things, how we build things, and what we're doing. And even there, we're like,
Send an invoice.
how? Right. And then they're like, can you do this for us? And I was like, well, maybe I should start a side business. But,
In your free time.
right. But yeah, it's a great system, I have a great team. And the good thing is, they built it so they understand it and they can run it. And then they can explain it too as we move into it. And it's a disaster.
And it looks
how to
so,
share it.
I mean, it's very easy,
Yeah.
user-friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing. Look
Yeah,
at it.
and like I said, once I get that jurisdictional profile, it'll take me about a week or two to get that done. And then once that's done, I'll forward it over to you guys. We'll set up a time. We can either do a Teams call, or I can come back up here and I can walk you through how that would work. But it's going to be simple. It's just going to be touch of buttons and it'll give you the information. That's it.
Excellent.
Heck yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
I'm really
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for calling us and checking on us, things are going on.
Yes.
We still have one agenda item.
We didn't. All right, let me check the agenda before y'all leave.
The last one.
Oh, sorry, yes, we're gonna adjourn. At 8:05. I'm like, what?
We need to decide when we're gonna run the equipment.
Oh, I thought that was part of Greg's list.
Sorry.
Okay, while y'all are here,
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg,
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jay, before we lose you, we said at our next get-together, we would determine a time to do a test run on the pumps. Now that the weather's,
Well, now, last year, it was like 4 or 5 months ago, because we went to the lake. You went to the lake and did it, didn't you, some pond?
That was 3 years
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
It was not 3 years ago.
That was back at,
No.
right, back, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years.
Then we took them around water through them.
That we took them,
But
yeah.
Yeah, we took them and ran water through it.
But we used the,
I've started them up
Thing.
maybe every 6 months, but it's been
most around
It's
water.
been a little bit since I've had them out.
well, we deployed
We've had
last
battery
year.
issues,
So,
we
I mean,
have-
we ran them with water and the whole deal, and I know that you've replaced batteries in the last couple months. Just getting on a cadence.
Have we gotten the new, have the new
We just need to get 'em
hoses been
out.
run? Oh, that's
There.
good.
It's all in the
New
garage,
hoses are
nice
good.
and tidy, ready
They
to
don't need to
go.
be,
That's
I
ran.
know, but just,
Around
you
waters and
know.
all that.
Yeah.
no, I
So if y'all
had
continue.
mentioned it to someone, I don't remember who, but here in the next several weeks, I need to get up here during the weekend, pull them out. I don't like running them inside.
No. Keep them
It
outside.
fills this whole thing up with fumes.
Mhm.
So I need to pull them out and let them run, for a half hour each. And I can use that big block that I had you buy
Yeah.
to test the suction side of
Do you-
it. Or we can take it somewhere and pump water, it doesn't matter.
Do you want to pick a date?
At the moment,
Because you know,
it's
if
gonna have to be in
you
June.
can always change it, but if we put something on the
It's gonna have
calendar,
to be
we're
in
more likely
June
to be there.
because I'm swamped for the next
Weeks.
2 or 3
Would y'all
weeks.
want to do that like a Friday afternoon? You want to do it on a weekend? What do you feel?
Prefer Saturday.
Saturday?
Same page.
Like June 20th or 27th? Maybe?
Not that far into June, because it's right around July 4th.
Can't do it for 7th, that's pretty. Good, Tony?
That's the 20th. It's Father's Day weekend.
Oh, that's Father's Day?
Father's Day weekend, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
About the 13th?
13th or the 20th?
I'm good with either one of those.
Well, how about the 13th? Because then it's not on Father's Day weekend in
Right.
case somebody gets to go somewhere.
Oh, that's true.
It doesn't require a whole bunch of people.
Oh, no.
Just a couple of us and a truck.
I
I
might use
pulled-
it for that weekend.
I pulled one of those out.
Do it.
So might want to use it for that weekend and get away from everybody.
I tried to
There you
pull
go.
one. I tried to pull one with my Jeep. It wouldn't. My Jeep wouldn't steer.
Oh my God. I pulled it out with my F-150 thinking, I'm only gonna move it 10 feet. Well, I moved it 10 feet, but she was not happy. They're slightly too heavy. All right, so I have June 13th. Thank you for the reminder that I was missing that item. And now we can adjourn at 8:09. Thank you all for coming on weeknight.